Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to the session. We will be talking about generative AI in data analytics. And the tool that we will be using specifically for this purpose is Microsoft Excel. Okay, generative AI, its application, how it fits into the picture in into data analytics. So Excel is an excellent tool when it comes to performing advanced analytics on your data. Here, how do we integrate GenAI into Excel, which will help us with data analytics is the agenda or the gist of this webinar and the next upcoming 4 to 5 sessions that we will have. For this, you will be able to follow only if you have basic understanding of how Excel works. So if you're not sure of about how Excel works, if you have no idea about it, you have not used it, then I would recommend that first you go through our lectures, the videos that are there on our website, on the YouTube channel 360DigiTMG. Please watch the Excel recordings there. Okay, we had such, there are about, I think, 15 sessions of Excel. Please watch that. Once you get well versed with Excel, then you can proceed to learning about Gen AI in Excel. Okay, again, I'm telling you, if in case you are not familiar with Excel, then this session will not make much sense. Okay, we do have a lot of amazing content on our YouTube channel. Let me show you. Hmm. Just a moment. Okay, so I hope you're able to see it. 360 digit MG. When you go here to our channel, when you check out the live sessions that have happened, okay, there will be one playlist where we have Excel sessions. Okay, there'll be a playlist with Excel sessions. You can watch that, or maybe you can directly go to playlist itself. Okay, just check out. You will find a lot of interesting videos here. Most importantly, there is a playlist on Excel. Here, this one. Okay, this one. So I will share this link with you all. There are a few other videos as well. I think this would be a good point to start because it covers right from the basics to advanced. So we'll just copy this link and share it with you in the chat box here. Okay, I hope you have received it. So there are about 15 sessions on Excel here. Day 1, day 2, day 3, you can see there are about 15 sessions. So this will give you a thorough understanding and it will be a very good point to begin your journey on data analytics using Excel. So once you're well versed with Excel, then what we're going to discuss now, that is Gen AI in Excel for data analytics, will make more sense. It will become more meaningful. All right. So let me get started. We are, sorry. So we're here to learn about data analytics in Microsoft Excel, which means we need to understand what is data analytics in the first place, right? Data analytics is all about taking the raw data and transforming it into meaningful information, converting raw data into actionable insights. It is simply where you take data, you connect with data, and you analyze that data, try to draw some meaningful conclusions, provide your management with the correct inputs from that data so that they can take informed decisions that will boost the productivity of the business. Okay, so even before you jump into analyzing the data, the first step is you need to understand what is present in your data set. What is it that you have in that data set? A data set is simply a set of data, a collection of rows and columns with data in it. Okay. Now, when we speak about Excel, let me open a blank workbook. Excel is a collection of multiple worksheets. Again, you need to be familiar with a few names over here. This is an Excel. Okay, this is Excel and it is a spreadsheet application. What is Excel? It's a spreadsheet application, which is a combination of a collection of multiple columns where each column is referenced with an alphabet name like A column, B column, C. This is column G, this is column H, so on. Okay, so the vertically what you have is the column and it's a collection of rows as well. Okay, row number one, row number two, the third row, the fourth row, the fifth row. It is a collection of rows and columns. Intersection of column and row. The intersection of column and row, this portion, is called a cell and it is the basic unit of the spreadsheet. This is the cell which is the basic unit of a spreadsheet. It is located at the intersection of column and row, and this is where you will enter the data. This is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell. We enter the data into the cells. When I choose a collection of cells like this, when I select a collection of cells, we call this as a range of cells. We call it as a range of cells. If you're choosing multiple, it's a range of cells. So smallest unit is a cell. A range of cells is something that you select. When I select the entire row, one row is a single horizontal row of cells, while a column is a single vertical column of cells, right? A range of cells in this vertical column. This is a column. Row is also a range of cells that are organized like this. And this entire thing is called as a worksheet. It is called a worksheet. This is sheet one that I am on right now. And when you right click or you just double click there, you will be able to rename it. Let's say this is my first worksheet. Okay. And by upon clicking on this plus sign, I can basically, if I have to. And the collection of all of these worksheets is called a workbook. Collection of multiple such worksheets with data in each sheet is called a workbook. And what is the proprietary form of saving an Excel file? Excel workbook. It has the extension of .xlsx. This is the native or the proprietary connection of Excel with the extension with which it is saved. Okay, some basic introduction to Excel. Now you need to have Excel to work on it. If you don't have Excel, also no problem. You can install it from you can install it from this link, or you could also install WPS Office. Okay. And the next thing is it is also available online. Excel is also available online as a free version. If you have to download it and install it on your local machine, then it will cost you. You have to purchase, you have to check out the plans and pricing, and you need to buy it. Excel online version of Excel is also available, which is available for free. So you can try it for free. You see this button on the top right corner of my screen. We can try it for free. Okay, so depending on your convenience, you can go ahead and use whatever you might want. Okay. We use Excel extensively for data management also, not just data storage, but also for data analysis and data management. Now, what does data management mean? Data management, it involves collecting the data, okay, collecting the data, organizing the data, storing the data, okay, storing the data, and then maintaining the data. Okay, while you ensure that it's available, accessible, and it is secure. Okay, Excel is used for not just data analysis. Excel is used for data management, data analysis, data visualization. So data management, if I have to define, it involves collecting the data, organizing the data, storing the data, maintaining the data, while you're also ensuring that it is accessible to the correct stakeholders and it is secure. The next thing is we use it for data analysis. So I will give you one small example here. Let me take one data set. Okay. Mm. This is a normal range of values. Okay. This is some data that I have with normal range of values. Across different there are different types of products being sold over here. Okay, there are different types of products that that are being sold, and whenever products are sold there is an entry made over here. So we are maintaining the data, storing the data about the transactions happening of a particular business called as the coffee chain business, where they sell different types of tea and coffee related items which belong to different products under each category in different locations. Okay, and you have the statistics corresponding to it. This is a normal range of values that we have. Okay, now when you are working with the data management or data analysis, it is always a good practice to put your data in a table format. As of now, this is not a table. How do I know that this is not a table? Because when I click anywhere inside this data, I do not see any table ribbon coming up at the top. Okay, so over here, this is called the ribbon. And there are different tabs on the ribbon. There is an insert tab, there is a draw tab, there is a home tab, there's a page layout tab, there is a formulas tab, so on and so forth. Right now we are on the home tab. You can see a green underline there, right? It means we are on the home tab, and it has different groups within. So there is a clipboard group, there is a font and formatting group, there's an alignment group, there's a data type group, there is a format group, and so on and so forth. Okay. So here I do not see anything called as tables. In this list of tabs, I don't see anything called as a table. That is how I know that this particular data is not in a table format. Even if it is not in a table format, you can still work with it by treating it as a normal range of values, range of values. These are ranges of cells with columns and rows, and we have ranges of data here. Okay. Now, let's say I have a very simple requirement. My requirement is to understand how many transactions have happened for each product. What's my requirement? I need to know what is the number of transactions that have happened for each product. Okay. So, for example, I need something like this. Product. I will provide the names of the products. I need to know the number of transactions that have happened for each item, for each of those products, how many transactions have happened. So let me just copy a few products here. Maybe I will take decaf Irish cream as one of the product. Okay, maybe I want to know the number of transactions for this product and also for Colombian. Okay, I would like to know how many transactions have occurred for each of them. How many times were these products sold? Only 3 of them I'm interested in. Now, how do we get it? This is a normal range of values. It is not inside a table, nothing like that. I need this data. So I could use one formula. How do you write a formula in Excel? You always begin formula in Excel with an equal to sign. Whenever we are writing a calculation, a formula, we begin it with an equal to sign. equal to, I need to count the number of transactions. I need to count the number of transactions. So count, but the count is based on conditions. So I'm going with count IFS. And as per the syntax, I need to give the criteria range and the criteria. So what is the criteria range? To count the data that is present in this range of cells. Every cell is referenced with an address. Every cell has an address. It is called as the cell address. Okay, and here the cell address is what? C2 to C2017. The cell address is referenced with the column name and with the row number. Okay, so I need to look here and I need to get the data for the item mentioned in this cell P9. P9, it is the address of this cell. Now, once I do this, okay, once I do this, it is telling me that in total there are 384 transactions for this item. I'll simply copy down that formula and therefore I know how many times the product Amaretto was sold and how many times the product Colombian was sold. Perfect, we got. So simple analysis happened. I have my data and I have analyzed my data and I came up with an answer for a simple question. How many transactions for each of these products? Now, when it is in a range, a normal range, if data is kept as a normal range, you might have noticed that even for selecting this area, it took some time for me to choose that criteria range, which starts from C2, goes all the way up to 2017 records over there. And then to come back here, I struggled a little bit. So in Excel, right, it is always a good practice to keep your data in a table format. Always store the data in a table format. Why in a table format? Because it makes it very easy when you're analyzing the data. Writing formulas also becomes easy. Because once your data is inside a table, you will no longer be referencing the range of cells. Instead, you can reference the columns that are present in the table, which makes it very easy for us to perform data analysis. So what I will do is this data that I have here, I will convert it into a table. How do you convert data into a table in Excel? We just use the control key or the command key plus the letter T, T for table. Okay, so I'm just simply going to click inside the table, anywhere inside the table, and press down the control key and the alphabet T, the letter T. It will create a table. Where is the data in your table? You can see it has automatically identified the entire range of values all the way from A1 to N2017. And yes, this table contains headers. These are the headers. So once I do this, it is converted into a table. Okay, now how do I know it is a table? First of all, it is very neatly structured and organized. Second thing, you can see this drop down icon on every column, which helps you to very easily sort your data and to filter your data. And most importantly, how do I know that my data is inside a table now? Is there is a table contextual ribbon that has come up. There is a table ribbon that has come up, and therefore I know that this is a table. On the top left corner, you can see table name. It is always a good practice to give a name to the table and save it. Save it with some sort of a meaningful name. That way it becomes easier for us to remember what are the tables and to reference them. If we leave it as table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4, at some point we will only get into trouble because we will not know what is there in which table. So it's always a good practice. I'll call it CC. Coffee chain, I'm calling it CC. Now that the data is inside a table, how is it going to help me with my data analysis? Let's see. Same formula, but because the data is in a table, okay, criteria range is I don't even have to go there and select the range of values anymore. Within the CC table, product column is my criteria range. And the criteria itself, of course, is mentioned here in P15. So writing the formula becomes much easier now. Writing the formula becomes much easier and there we have the response. So This is one way of achieving the purpose. We have been given some data and I'm trying to analyze the data. What is the question given to me? Identify the number of transactions for each product. If it was given to me as a range of values, writing the formula became a little difficult because I have to reference the ranges. But the moment I converted it into a table, my life has become little easy because I no longer need to reference the range, I just have to reference the columns. There is another way of analyzing the same data. I could simply create something called as a pivot table. To analyze this data, I could also create something called as a pivot table. See, on the table ribbon itself, we have this option called as summarize with pivot table. Pivot table is a way to analyze and summarize the data. It helps you analyze your data through summarizing the data. Very interesting feature. So I'll go to summarize with pivot table. Okay. So the entire table CC has to be taken and it needs to be analyzed and summarized. So I'm taking CC table. I'll click on OK. You see pivot table. Now what's the requirement for various products? I would like to know the count. So I've taken product here and product here. Automatically it is giving me the count. Look at that. Matching the response that we got earlier, right? What was the response we got earlier? For decaf Irish cream, 384 transactions. Decaf Irish cream, 384 transactions. 192 for Amaretto, 480 for Colombian, 480 for Colombian. You can see very easily I got it. And not just for a limited number of products. I managed to get it for all the products when I created a pivot table. So in a way, we have analyzed the data by creating a pivot table, summarizing the data in the pivot table. Okay, so this is product count pivot. I'm just giving it a meaningful name. Okay, whenever you're working on pivot tables also, always give a meaningful name to each pivot so that it's easier to remember. How else can we use Excel? We can use Excel for data management and data storage. We can use it for data analysis. We can use it for creating pivots, which also helps you analyze and summarize the data. Excel is also used for data visualization. Simple analysis I showed you here. Number of transactions that have happened for each product. Now I would like to create a chart with this data. So I'll simply go to insert, maybe a normal column chart can be inserted or a bar graph could be inserted, right? So it is also helping me to create visualization. The third use of Excel is data visualization. It involves representing the data through graphs. In this case, I have taken bar graph. Okay, and of course, we have a lot of options. We can go to the chart ribbon and we could do a lot of things with respect to the design of the ribbon, the layout of the graph. Okay, you might want to show labels over there. Everything is possible. You can, sky is the limit. There are n number of options. We are not learning that aspect. Okay, that is not the idea. I'm just giving you an idea about what is the purpose of Excel. So you can see that Excel by itself as a standalone tool can do a lot of amazing things, right? Then why do we need Excel AI here? When Excel by itself is such an amazing tool which can do data management, storage and management, it can help us perform data analysis, it can help us perform data visualization. Then why do you need AI? With AI, what happens is you can automate a lot of things. Okay, here we already have a lot of options for automating things in Excel. Okay, we can create macros. Macros will help you automate things. You can all the repetitive tasks like formatting, updating the tables, taking care of things like adjusting the columns height or the row height or the column width or saving your work automatically, unhiding the sheets, maybe giving a welcome message. closing all the workbooks. So a lot of things you can do with respect to by designing macros. These are all what I have designed. Okay. Financial models can be built, financial forecast can be done, prediction can be done. Lot of things can be done. So Excel is already a complete data exploration and data analysis tool. Using AI, you're just going to extend its productivity. The first reason why you need AI to be integrated in Excel is because it will increase the productivity. Okay, when Excel itself is such an amazing tool where you already have everything, even pertaining to automation and of the repetitive tasks, why do you still need AI? The first reason why you need AI in Excel is it will increase the productivity. It will increase the productivity. It means it will increase the efficiency with which you can carry out the activities and tasks. Greater productivity means obtaining more significant results with very less resources and time consumption, right? So you need it to increase the productivity and reduce the time that is necessary for performing the analysis or generating the reports. So when you combine Excel and AI, it will help you carry out simple to complex tasks in a very easy manner. You can automate repetitive tasks like data cleansing, data formatting. Large quantities of data can be processed faster to generate meaningful insights, and appropriate visualizations for your data also can be determined by using AI. Now, the second reason why you need to integrate AI and Excel is for improving the accuracy. For improving the accuracy of the output. You're not just increasing productivity, you can also improve the accuracy because human errors will not be there, right? You can produce correct and precise results without errors. You are reducing human errors. Why would human errors occur? Aren't we careful? Of course, we are careful. We are the people who designed all these things, isn't it? Humans have designed all these things. People are very careful. However, errors could arise when you enter inputs or calculate values manually. And human eye, it has some limitations. Vision wise, we have limitations. You cannot, certain things might go unnoticed by the human eye. Recognizing the anomalies in the data, etc., it might go unnoticed by the human eye, but AI will not miss such things. It will catch them very easily. Okay. So here, when I say AI, we will simply use ChatGPT for the time being. Okay. So you can go to ChatGPT. You could insert the data here. You see this icon, the plus sign or an attachment kind of a symbol you will have. This is where you can upload your file into ChatGPT. So I'll take this coffee chain file itself and upload it. And you can ask a question. Based on the question that you ask, it is going to analyze the data and give a response to the question. Okay, like for example, what is it that I tried to do earlier here? Using Excel, I tried to analyze my data to understand how many transactions have happened for each product, right? And that is what I could ask here by providing this file as the input. I could ask a question. I will ask it to build a pivot table for the product column and get me the count of the number of occurrences of each product category, of each product. So build a pivot table for the product column that is present in this data set. Get me the count of the number of occurrences of each product. So whatever pivot table I built here, AI will build it. ChatGPT will build the same pivot table for us by analyzing this data that we have given as input. You see, we have given this file as input. So it's going to analyze that data that has been given to it as input, and it will try to count and come up with the number of transactions corresponding to each item. Look at that result. Amaretto 192, Colombian 480, Darjeeling 384, Decaf Irish Cream 384, Earl Grey 288. And is it matching with our count? Yes. So how ChatGPT has helped us, right? So all I did was I uploaded the file and it gave me the response. I uploaded the file, I asked a question and it gave me a response. So it is that simple. It is that simple to use ChatGPT or any other generative AI models that are there, tools that are there to get the answer. Now, the question that I put here, I typed a question, right? And I got the response. So this question that you put or type when you're asking a question, this is referred to as a prompt. To interact with ChatGPT, whatever instruction you give here is called as a prompt. A prompt is simply a text that describes what ChatGPT should do. And so it is called as a prompt. Okay. And a prompt is basically a text that describes what, in this case, I've used ChatGPT, what ChatGPT should do, right? What ChatGPT should do. And prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is the art and science of defining appropriate prompts. Okay, ChatGPT, prompt engineering itself is all about defining appropriate and effective prompts. There are several techniques for defining prompts. Prompt engineering is a very big, again, area of learning that is there. There is something called as zero shot prompting. Zero shot prompting, this consists of giving ChatGPT a task without providing any examples. Okay, there are many ways in which you can define or give prompts. So one method is called zero shot prompting, where you just ask a question, you give the prompt without providing any example. So you can use this technique when you want the answer to be very quick. Like for example, if I say, what is Microsoft Excel? That is zero shot prompting. Example of this is what? What is Microsoft Excel? That's all. I'm not giving any example. I'm not giving an elaborate prompt. Zero shot prompting. What is Microsoft Excel? And it will give you an answer. So if I go here and ask it, what is Microsoft Excel? The response that I'm going to get to this question, I think there's a spelling mistake though, but it understood, is zero shot prompting. It's a software program. It is developed by Microsoft. It allows you to organize your data, analyze your data. It's a spreadsheet application where you can write a lot of formulas, lot of inbuilt functions. Charts can be created, graphs can be created, pivot tables can be created. There are a lot of tool packs, data analysis tool packs, etc. for analyzing the data. Done. The next example under prompt engineering is one shot prompting. One shot prompting. Example, what is one shot prompting? This is where you give an example to ChatGPT first. Okay, one shot prompting is where you provide an example and you tell ChatGPT how to respond based on that example. You provide an example to tell ChatGPT how to respond to that question. For example, if I say Microsoft Word is a word processing, okay, example, Microsoft Word. Okay, Microsoft. So I'm giving it an example. I'm saying Microsoft Word is a word processing program developed by Microsoft And this allows you to create, edit, and format text documents professionally. Now, based on this, give a Microsoft Excel definition. Getting it? So what am I doing is I'm giving it an example. One short prompting is where you give an example, and based on that example, you ask ChatGPT to do something for you. So let me just copy this as is here. Now look at that. Earlier in zero prompt, it tried to give me all the features of Excel, everything. But now it has a point of reference. It knows that it has to come up with something like this. So it is saying Excel is a spreadsheet program. This is a word processing program. It's saying this is a spreadsheet program, both developed by Microsoft, of course, which allows you to, here I said edit, create, and format text documents. Now it has rephrased. It's saying it allows you to organize, analyze, and visualize data using rows and columns. Right? It enables user to perform calculations, create charts, and generate reports efficiently for professional and personal use. So this is one shot prompting. Okay? One shot prompting where you give an example and you follow that example. What is zero shot prompting? Where you assign a task to ChatGPT without giving any example. One shot prompting, you give an example and ask it to follow along on the similar line. There is something called as few shot prompting. There is something called as few shot prompting. Now, what is few shot prompting? I'm sure you might have taken a rough guess at least by now. So this is where we give the model multiple examples on how to complete a task. You will give multiple examples on how to complete a task, and this helps the model better understand the context and format the desired response. For example, now let me give you an example. You will give multiple, right? So, um, like you could give multiple examples and then ask for the definition of Microsoft Excel. I gave one example here. If you give multiple examples instead of one and then ask it to define what is Microsoft Excel, that kind of a thing is few shot prompting. You give multiple examples and based on that you want it to work. There is also something called as instruction based prompting. Instruction based prompting. You need to know all these things, okay? Because when you are going to ultimately use chat GPT for and in Excel, you should know how to ask a question and which method to use to ask a question. Instruction based prompting is where we give explicit instructions in natural language, of course, to clarify the task. Okay, you give explicit instructions in natural language to clearly give an idea to ChatGPT about exactly what is the task you're trying to accomplish. So, for example, you could say, explain what is Microsoft Excel to a 9-year-old. So I'm giving explicit instructions of what it is supposed to actually help me with. What is it supposed to help me achieve? Explain what is Microsoft Excel to a 9-year-old kid. Okay, it will come up with an answer based on the question that you have given in such a way that a 9-year-old should be able to understand it, right? So it's telling it's a grid of boxes. You can add, you can multiply numbers, you can come up with colorful charts that way. You can keep track of the home allowances that you are given. Then we have something called as chain of thought prompting. After this, the next is chain of thought prompting. This is all theoretical today, like introduction, but slowly we'll move on to the hands-on part in the next session, hopefully. Chain of thought prompting is another way of giving prompts. So you guide in this method, you will guide ChatGPT to think aloud, breaking down the reasoning step by step. Okay, you're going to break down the reasoning step by step before arriving at an answer. So when you have complex steps or multiple steps involved in logical reasoning, this will help. This method of asking questions or giving prompts is going to help you. This will help ChatGPT solve complex tasks that require logical reasoning. Now, for example, you could prompt something like, to explain what is Microsoft Excel, first describe what spreadsheets are, then explain how Excel uses them to organize the data, and finally give an example on how it might be used to make a budget. A chain of thought, not random questions, a chain of thought linked to each other. So I'm telling to explain what is Microsoft Excel. Okay, to explain what Microsoft Excel is. First, what you do, let's continue as a chain of questions. Okay, first, you describe what a spreadsheet is, what spreadsheets are. Then you explain how Excel uses them to organize the data. And finally, give an example of how it might be used to make a budget. See this, the way I'm asking the question? Multiple instructions. It's not few shot prompting where you give multiple examples. Here you're giving multiple examples. Don't get confused. Few shot prompting is different from chain of thought prompting. Few shot prompting is where you will give multiple examples and then ask it to come with the correct answer. Here, you're providing a chain of thought, means you're telling first do this, based on that, do the second activity, based on that, do the third activity. So there is a sequence to the events that you need to follow. And when you follow the sequence of events, you will arrive with the final logical response to the question. So first I asked it to explain, describe what worksheets are. I said first describe what worksheet is. So it's telling me what spreadsheet is. Then explain how Excel uses them to organize the data. After that, can you see if I can build a budget report using this information? Understood. So you see chain of thought. So it is also following that chain of thought or the questions that we ask, and based on that, it is going to come up with an optimum solution for our requirement. And the last, or I wouldn't say last, there are many, but here I will stop with this example. The next way of giving performing prompt engineering here is give dynamic prompts. Dynamic prompts is the next one. What are dynamic prompts? You adapt the prompt based on the chat GPT's previous answers. So far, I've just been giving standalone questions. But if you're adapting the prompt, what is a prompt? A text that describes what ChatGPT should do. And the art of being able to ask the correct question is called prompt engineering. Okay. So when you give the prompts dynamically based on its previous response, there is an interactive approach that is happening in which the prompt is going to evolve as a conversation. right, between you and the tool. You adapt the prompt based on ChatGPT's previous answers. So it becomes like an interactive approach. It keeps evolving like a conversation between two friends. That is dynamic prompting. For example, I have asked it a question, explain what a spreadsheet is, and you might, it gave me an answer to what is a spreadsheet. Now, based on that, how do you build it further? So I can say sorry, I can say based on your explanation. So it gave me an explanation of the previous question, right? Based on your explanation, how might a spreadsheet be used to analyze a company's expenses? Okay, based on your explanation on based on your explanation of whatever I asked, how might a spreadsheet be used to analyze a company's expenses? So it's like now I'm having a conversation with ChatGPT, right? I'm asking it a question, it's giving me a response. Based on that, I will create another question till I get a complete clarity or get the final result from it. Okay, so this is called dynamic prompting, which is more like a conversation between you and the tool. Okay, so I will stop here today. I gave you a basic idea of what is Excel. It is a tool that is used for the purpose of data management, data analysis, and data visualization. Data management, data analysis, and data visualization. Okay, and when you integrate it with AI, Gen AI, it increases your productivity and improves the accuracy, reduces human errors. So when we talk about integrating Excel with Gen AI, you need to know how to work with Gen AI tools. Most of them are GPT tools. Most of them are GPT tools, wherein you will give a text which describes your question or the problem that you're having or whatever you want to know, which is called as a prompt. And based on the question, based on the prompt that you enter, it will be able to give you a response. So these are the different types of prompts. Zero shot prompting, where you directly ask the question basically. Okay, you're not providing any examples. You will just ask a question and get a quick answer. One shot prompting is where you give an example and based on that, you try to generate the output for your question following these lines. Few shot prompting where you could give multiple examples and then ask what you want. Instruction based is where you give instructions in simple natural language very clearly, like how do you explain this to a 9-year old, for instance. Chain of thought is where you are gathering all of your thoughts and you want to go one by one. You want to ask the questions. First, tell me this. Based on this, tell me this, and then tell me this. Okay, and dynamic prompts are after you ask a question and get a response from the generative AI tools, how do you phrase the next question based on the previous output? So your subsequent questions will depend on the response that you obtain from the previous questions. So these are the 4, 5, 6 types of prompting that you could do. Okay, so we will stop here. Please do keep this in mind, and then I'll share it in the chat also. If you want, you can take it from the chat box. I've sent it in the chat box. Next thing is, if you can also take a quick screenshot and then make notes, maintain it if you have to. So tomorrow we will see how we are going to integrate ChatGPT with Excel, and then rather than having to come out and ask ChatGPT questions, can we do it directly within Excel? Okay. So that's it from my side for today. I hope it was informative. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next session tomorrow. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box. I will try to respond.